Good afternoon. Well, my latest portrait's finished now, I think. Um, Following on from the work on paper, this charcoal technique where you use sandpaper literally as your rubber to erase and to re-establish the white. This being the most luminous part of the painting, it took, I would say, 45 minutes of sandpaper rubbing just to get that luminous. Not all at once, of course, because it's important that over a period of time, rather than having your hand drop off, you spend several sessions to get this white, going round and round and round, dusting it off, keeping going until the correct degree of luminosity becomes apparent. And throughout the work, there's been these elements where it's quite important to get the balance of these lights established with the sandpaper. A lot of the nuances in the hands are done with a mixture of application of the charcoal, removal of the charcoal, sanding, redefining, sanding back, removing again. It's all part of that process with this technique, and it's been a huge, huge learning curve, which I'm very grateful for, as usual, because art is the teacher for me. I get an idea, one is inspired or led towards an idea, and it begins to teach you what it needs actually. And rather than being an armchair critic of the art process or the ideas, you sit back from that and allow the process to educate you, to change you, to hopefully, over the process, create some form of evolution in your consciousness, because this is a unique experience. We go from the white to the black of the charcoal, then we remove and remove and remove to re-establish the white on a unique surface. And I think this is a this is part of a technique which is about quite akin to a form of magic, where you're appealing to the guidance offered with all of the will and intention that you can muster. And you are, particularly with this charcoal technique, where you're removing the material to reveal the face and the details, it is almost like an evocation where you're bringing embodiment to the drawing. Now, of course, these ideas are my own insights. I'm not saying that they are necessarily so for every single person who embraces creativity. But art and mysticism for me are one element, one evolving concept, one evolving lifestyle. And what I've done, this is the sixth occult teacher which I've drawn, which is, I think, extraordinary. It's been an extraordinary experience. In the quiet of the studio, I think all you'll be able to hear in the background maybe is some birdsong. It's really quiet, and it's a meditative practice. So what I'll do now with this portrait is allow it to settle, and I'll return to the studio every day and I'll look at it for a while and see whether or not there's any flaws that I need to rectify, or any details that I have missed, or I might add some more to it. But at the moment, I really wanted to share this within minutes of this particular finish line, so that you could see how things have gone over the course of the 6 or 7 videos that I've done, from the white paper to the charcoal application to the sanding off, and now ultimately this. It's been a heck of a journey, and it's been really quite exhausting, over and above trying to achieve detail and trying to embody the personality of this occult teacher who died in 1875. It's been extraordinarily exhausting, and the physical nature of it, where you're abrading the surface and being very cautious, because if you do it too hard, you can ruin the entire work. If you sand and sand and sand this area and then suddenly it's so thin that you're through to the backboard in no time at all, the whole thing, you'd have to cut this off and just have that. So it's been a very cautious and yet quite an energetic approach to this particular drawing. I've got some fantastic things planned, which I am feeling surprised and excited about. So I hope you have